Hi everyone, it's me Bernard of Chattinguan. So this is my presentation of the research proposal entitled Teaching Strategies to Enhance Students' Critical Thinking Skills in Digital Learning Classes. So here is the outline of my presentation. So let's start with the introduction. So, in the introduction, it is found that critical thinking is very fundamentally needed to be successful in both academic context and also in career readiness. So, it is supported by some researchers. And then, the demands of curriculum to be integrated with critical thinking is proved by the instruction of Indonesian Ministry of Education and Cultures to integrate the critical thinking designing with higher order thinking since primary to high schools. And finally, the specific issue is that university students are expected to gain the skills needed in the 4.0 era, in which critical thinking is one of the most needed skill that the students have to acquire. The following introduction is the possibility of teaching critical thinking skills. So there are some approaches of teaching critical thinking skills, and these approaches will be explained further in the literature review. Okay, so here are the research gaps. The first is less study of critical thinking in teaching context. Many studies investigate critical thinking skills manifested in textbook or teaching materials. And the second is less study of critical thinking in undergraduate level. So the previous studies show that the critical thinking studies were dominantly in the primary, secondary, and tertiary level of education. So here are the research questions. There are four research questions to the problem of the study. Now let's continue to the literature review. In the literature review, uh, I provide the critical thinking notions by experts. They are Ellis in 1987, Fashion in 2013, and for the critical thinking skills, some experts associate these skills with higher order thinking skills that are able to be achieved through questions or dialogue. So the questions or dialogue can be used with the theories of Bloom taxonomy, philosophical questions by Golding, Socratic questioning, and quadrant questions proposed by Kemp in 2006. And in the literature review, I also provide the teaching critical thinking approaches. So there are four: the general, infusion, immersion, and mixed approach. However, the focus of the study is to see the infusion of critical thinking in the subjects in which critical thinking incorporated with the subject with explicit general principle. So that it is not separated, however, it is kind of embedded. However, it is embedded and explicitly using the general principles of critical thinking skills. And here are the strategies to teach critical thinking based on the reading that I have done. So the first is through the teacher's questioning and explicit instructions, active and cooperative learning. And here are the challenges to teach critical thinking skills, the time constraint in the classroom, students' proficiency, the environment, the culture from the teacher side, and also the students' participation during the cooperative learning. And for the questioning techniques that promote critical thinking skill, they are supported by the theory of question quadrant and Hill and Wood, Lee, Kinsey, Elder, and Poe. So the questioning technique are going to be supported by those theories. And in the questioning techniques in the literature later, will also provide the questioning technique features such as the role of teacher waiting time and also the way to establish good environment for promoting critical thinking skill in the classroom. And here are the critical thinking questions framework that I'm going to use to analyze the questions used in during the observation. The first is the Bloom taxonomy, the Socratic questioning, and the third questioning quadrant. So the question quadrant are going to provide higher order thinking in the quadrant 3 and quadrant 4. However, for quadrant 1 and 2, they are considered lower order thinking questions. And here are the methodologies. And the research design is qualitative study with a case study in private university. So there will be 2 classes being observed. And the reason choosing this site and also the participant is because the purpose interest and also administratively uh, easy to access. And here are the data collection. So basically there are 3 ways of collecting the data. The first is from the online observation. So the observation will take 4 times. One is the pre-observation and 3 times the online observation. So the stance of the observer is to be the non-participant observer. And the observations are going to answer this is question number 1 and this is question number 4. The second data collection is the interviews. So there will be 2 types of interviews. So the first is the pre-interview, focusing on familiarizing or adapting the online or the distant classes. And the result of the pre-interview will be helping for adjusting the question in the semi-structured interview. So the semi-structured interview will answer question. This is question number 2 and number 4. And this is the last. The last is data collection through recorded questions during the observation. So the recorded questions will be transcribed and the questions will be categorized and coded. The potential questions will be developed to promote critical thinking. So there will be a kind of developing questions to be more critical based on the framework. Okay, not only developing the questions, there will be a kind of percentage of dominant critical thinking questions employed by the lectures based on the framework Bloom's Socratic questioning and questions quadrant. The reason choosing these 3 frameworks because they are they complete one each other and then they are much strongly acknowledged by the scholars. And finally, this is the data analysis, the observation analysis, and there will be interview analysis, content analysis of the recorded questions items, and there will be triangulation. That's all from me. Thank you.